DG. It's not about the dollars, comments, or likes on my statuses. It's not about the way that I look when I dress. If I act that way, I need a laxative. What kind of madness is this? This foolishness is overtaking the church, man, we need to release it. This constipation of sin is increasing, so I can symbol a tame who's unashamed of Jesus. Think up on bang with the group, and they know they be full of that word. I mean, can I be honest? Nina T and Brother Christ, the Spirit of God is upon them, boy, don't get me started. These unworthy servants, hitting that word up, theologically working and speaking the truth. But spoken for the Most High, the Father of light, they need stopping, cause it's unattractive to you. Don't get me started, we taking them lashes from the masses, even though they laughing. We might be discouraged at times in the end, it's all worth it for the master. Cause suffering will only keep us from sin. First Peter 4 and 1, and keep my focus on Him.
Don't get me started.
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 Don't get me started, boy.
Boy, don't get me started.
Don't get me started.
Don't get me started.
Don't get me started. Don't get me started.
Don't get me started.
Don't get me started.
Don't get me started.
Don't get me started, boy.
Boy, don't get me started.
Don't get me started.
Don't get me started.
Bring it to light. The light of some Christians, I think it's invisible. Can't tell the difference, the bash and condemn it. But I am uplifting, correcting, admonishing many to love Him wholeheartedly. Many are Pharisees, loving impartially. They love with their lips and not with their hearts.
Perfect epitome
of counterfeit wannabes, pretending to be of that light. Please convert to His light. He'll transfigure your life. No slippery slope, your hope from wrong to right. By scripture and traditions, like letting it go for that light. And you shouting now, I ain't about that life. Don't get me started. You know the word, so live it and stop acting foolish. I'm wishing that no one would perish, so I'm convicted, compelled, and I'm sharing this message. Took the plank on my eyes before I could do this, igniting this eyes that quench up the spirit.
Don't get me started.
Don't get me started. Don't get me started.
Don't get me started.
Don't get me started.
Don't get me started, boy.
Boy, don't get me started.
Don't get me started.
Don't get me started.
Don't get me started. Don't get me started. Don't get me started.
Don't get me started.
Don't get me started.
Don't get me started, boy.
Boy, don't get me started.
Don't get me started.
Don't get me started.
Don't get me started.
Boy, you got bills. Don't get me started. Why go to church when you can go to work? Don't get me started. Why pay tithes when you can buy bribes? You feeling me? The Bible's so full of love. Don't get me started. I'm rapping my Jesus, my Lord, rapping the Christ, so I go hard, like oh my God. Do not regard the foolish assumptions from those in the yard. They speak so ill of the faith. I pray that salvation's not late, cause for lack of knowledge, your people do perish. The gospel, they don't wanna hear it, it's scary. How could you live without God, playing games only to die and find out you were playing with God? Ain't it all out cause I don't fit in, and I never will, cause man can't feel my void like God could, feeling bitter like warm wood, awaiting Christ's return. So don't get me started when you're dissing the gospel in Christ. I'll be revving and started, ready for action, packing the action. 66 rounds, it's just a reaction and a transaction of wisdom for fools who misabuse the knowledge of Christ for their pursuits. But it's not new. Lukewarm believers who deny the truth. Lukewarm believers who deny the truth, bro. It's either you're 100 or 0, all in or dead, bro. But there's no hope if you're dead, though. Said there's no hope if you died, though. So choose now. Stop making excuses. If you don't know Christ, then homie, you're losing. If you don't know Christ, then homie, you're losing. Yeah, that's a blueprint. Don't get me started.
Don't get me started.